Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today, so let's start off talking about this big AEW news that was announced in the last hour or so, and that is the partnership between AEW and the Owen Hart Foundation. This is a massive story and one I'm really excited about. It's real great news, this. Now, AEW has announced a new working relationship with the Owen Hart Foundation to honor the legacy of the late wrestler. The partnership will include the annual Owen Hart Cup tournament in AEW. The winner of the tournament will receive a cup known as the Owen. AEW will also produce and distribute unique and original Owen merchandise, which includes Owen being featured in the upcoming AEW console video game. Merchandise to be released includes action figures, apparel, posters, and collectible items. Now, this is what AEW CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative Tony Khan said, quote, AEW's relationship with the Hart family dates back to our inaugural pay-per-view event Double or Nothing in 2019, and Owen's influence is still felt today. To extend his memory and his legacy even further through this agreement is a powerful and meaningful moment for the entire wrestling community. Now, Dr. Martha Hart, who of course is Owen's widow, who runs the Owen Hart Foundation, said the foundation is extremely pleased to partner with AEW as they trust Khan and his team. She called the partnership a special gift to all of Owen's fans. She said, quote, the Owen Hart Foundation is extremely pleased to partner with AEW in this wonderful joint venture to honor Owen's substantial international wrestling career and the lasting influence he and his craft has had on the sport. AEW's Owen Hart Cup tournament serves as a tremendous tribute to Owen and provides us an incredible way for professional wrestling enthusiasts to celebrate his work in the most fitting way. We trust that Tony Khan and his amazing AEW team will do a brilliant job with this highly anticipated project. This Owen Hart Foundation / AEW partnership is a special gift to all of Owen's magnificent, loyal fans who forever remember him and his inspiring repertoire of talent. So it certainly was an announcement. I didn't think no one saw this coming, to be honest with you. I don't think anyone thought this was on the books or had any inclination that this happened, but it's a massive news story. It's a massive news story, and I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm a huge Owen Hart fan. Obviously, I share his first name. It's completely unrelated, by the way, but I do share his first name, and just because of that growing up, I always had an affinity. I mean, it must be said, Owen passed in the late 90s. I was only very young when he did pass from that tragic incident. But going back, being a pro wrestling fan, a pro wrestling enthusiast, a historian, whatever you may call it, I've gone back and watched my fair share of Owen Hart matches and watched my fair share of Owen Hart moments, whether it is the steel cage match against his brother, the WrestleMania 10 opening match against his brother, even the stuff where he was a tag team with Jeff Jarrett, or watching all of this stuff, even going back to watch that match against Steve Austin in 97 at SummerSlam, which before that ending part of it was a really good match, and the tag team he had with the British Bulldog, and a personal favorite of mine is the Hart Foundation in 1997. I think that's one of the most underrated factions of all time. It's tremendous television, and just in general, Owen Hart's ability as a singles wrestler, as a pro wrestler, as a personality, just he is so missed. And because of the way that everything happened with his passing, with the lawsuits, with WWE being how they are and Vince McMahon being how he is, it's always felt like, people talk about it, don't they? When is Owen Hart going to ever go into the Hall of Fame? And will Owen Hart ever go into the Hall of Fame? And obviously, people have spoken about that. The reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now is because essentially they need approval, they need permission from Martha Hart to do so. And when you dive into it, because from the outside looking in, you would just go, why didn't she just give approval? But from the outside, when you dive into it, when you dive into that situation, and I think this is what people don't do, go and watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode of Owen Hart. They did a tremendous job with that, and you'll realize why she doesn't want to give that approval to WWE, because she does hold them accountable, and she does hold them liable, and there's obviously she doesn't want, the WWE to profit off her husband's passing or off her late husband, because in her eyes, they took her husband away from her. And you can understand that. And like she says several times in that press release, I think this has probably been a long time coming and a long situation whereby, AEW's had to earn her trust, essentially. But I'm thrilled. As an Owen Hart fan, I'm absolutely thrilled. And, the idea of having the Owen Hart, the Tournament Cup, I think is tremendous. And that's going to be such a big honor. And everyone's going to want to win that, and everyone's going to want to be involved in that, because it really is going to be a first of its kind. And again, Owen Hart, because of the issues between Martha and the WWE, again, he's kind of a name that isn't, I don't want to say lost to the modern generation of pro wrestling fans, but doesn't get talked about enough, because WWE doesn't like to really mention Owen Hart, because if they do, their maybe implication and everything that happened to him gets brought up, and all that kind of stuff. They don't really like to talk about it that much, and he should be spoken about. He's one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, especially in the generation that's competing today. So many people reference Owen Hart as a massive inspiration to them. Kevin Owens is called Kevin Owens because of Owen Hart. He named his son Owen because of Owen Hart as well. That just sums up the influence that someone like Owen Hart had on everyone that's wrestling today. So for me, I look at that and I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled to see that. I was. But no, it's absolutely tremendous news, and I'm very, very excited about it. I think, that obviously the cup is a massive, massive deal. I'm really excited as well, just by merchandise, by having some merchandise, some Owen Hart merchandise. Having him being involved in the AEW video game, it's just. I think the reason I'm so excited about this, and again, I don't want to focus too much on what this means for WWE and WWE in the mud, because it's not really about that. It's about celebrating that Owen Hart is going to be recognized and his legacy is going to be recognized, and we can talk as pro wrestling fans about Owen Hart and not have to focus on his ending. We can focus on his career, and I think that's so exciting, and his legacy will be honored, rather. And I think it's a tremendous announcement by AEW. Massive credit to Tony Khan and to Martha Hart as well for getting this relationship together. And I think it's going to be huge for pro wrestling fans. And again, to have some Owen Hart merchandise and to have Owen Hart just again be involved in that console game makes it so worthwhile. Just if you weren't interested in purchasing the game anyway, having Owen Hart involved in that and seeing him in the AEW ring, and that's just tremendous. That's absolutely tremendous, and it's huge for pro wrestling fans. Absolutely huge for pro wrestling fans. So really great news, and congratulations to AEW and Martha Hart, the Owen Hart Foundation, for that one. It's just tremendous stuff. Speaking of Tony Khan as well, he's spoken about his desire when it comes to AEW Dynamite Grand Slam to do it as an annual event. Now, he spoke on the Busted Open radio show and had this to say. He said, quote, but it's a pretty amazing when you can be the first pro wrestling show in such a historic, awesome venue that's very famous worldwide. It's known throughout America as the home of the US Open, but the US Open is watched in most countries in the world. It's a pretty prestigious event, and it's so cool that the Park District and the US Open folks agreed to have AEW Grand Slam. I'm really hoping it's something we can do in New York with Arthur Ashe Stadium every year. So they're hoping to make this an annual event. I would assume it probably will be going forward, to be honest with you, considering the event hasn't happened yet, and of course that's Wednesday night and technically Friday, but it's all going to be taped on Wednesday. But it's going to be a massive event for AEW, and I have no doubts in my mind it's just going to be nothing but a massive success. They've already sold out their allocation for the tickets there. It's a huge audience. It's their debut in New York. I genuinely do think it can be their largest audience ever on TNT. Now, obviously, their largest audience ever was their debut episode, 1.4 million. I think they'll beat it. I really, really do. I think they're going to do a really big number for AEW. And again, considering Raw tonight, again, the competition when it comes to the Monday Night Football and when it comes to, obviously, just the competition that Dynamite's been providing in terms of the key demographic, I think it's going to be a massive success, a massive, massive success for AEW this week. And I would be very surprised if they don't run there again. That's going to probably be their big New York home, New York City home anyway. Obviously, they're going to be in Long Island later this year, and we've got to speak about that later on. But I hope to see this as an annual event, and I'm very excited to see it become an annual event, and I think it will be. Speaking of the Long Island show, this is a story that I know that social media will start to bicker and argue about, but of course, AEW and Raw are both going to be in the UBS Arena in a very short period of time from each other. Now, the UBS Arena is a newly built multi-purpose arena in Elmont, New York, which is Long Island. that is scheduled to open on November 20, 2021. Now, this will be the future home for the NHL's New York Islanders. WWE is set to have Monday Night Raw at the UBS Arena on November 29, and as of last night has sold 2,365 tickets of the 7,398 available tickets, which is around 32%. This is according to WrestleTix. Now, WWE currently has Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Ash, Kofi Kingston, and Randy Orton advertised for the show. But in comparison, AEW Dynamite and Rampage tapings are scheduled for just over 1 week later on December 8 at the very same venue. And again, as of last night, AEW has sold 6,167 of the estimated 8,851 tickets available, which is around 70%. So in comparison, AEW has sold 70% of their tickets in comparison to WWE's 32%, outpacing WWE significantly at the moment. There is no show preview yet for AEW's event other than MJF being the featured star on the event poster, and a lot of people are pointing to this saying this is the demand. This is the demand of going to watch an AEW show as opposed to maybe not a WWE show, but certainly a Monday Night Raw, which is just Monday Night Raw, right? It's not a very entertaining show. Now, a lot of people are pointing out when it comes to this, certainly people that sit on the WWE side of the fence, they're going, well, AEW tickets were on sale a week earlier, blah, 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 blah. But look, let's face it. It is significant. That is significant, and people can argue all they want. People can be WWE stans. They can say, "Oh no, you're looking at it the wrong way, or you're misinterpreting, or you're manipulating these statistics, all this kind of stuff." But the facts are there. The facts are there. WWE has sold 32% of the tickets available. AEW has sold 70%. Now, people will get, what does that translate to? Will people watch Raw? Maybe they do. Maybe they do, but things are changing. Like, this is the thing. This is why it's such an exciting time to be a professional wrestling fan right now, because things legitimately are changing. Whether it's for the better or the worse, time will only tell. History will judge that. But things are changing right now, and for me, like we spoke about the ratings and we spoke about some other things, I only see it going in one direction for AEW, which is up at the moment. Raw, they've got to do something, and it's not just ratings, it's ticket sales and all that kind of stuff. And again, WWE doesn't care in the grand scheme of things. They're making money anyway. All their money's guaranteed at the moment, but it's in 2 or 3 years. They know television companies, arenas will start going, you know what, if we get AEW, they're going to sell out the arena. If we take up AEW programming, that key demographic's going to watch. And, you know, stuff like that is going to build up. So it's a significant story. Read into it what you will. I'm sure both events in the end will do very well, but certainly it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic in terms of atmosphere at both events as well, too. So very exciting stuff. Now, Ric Flair has been the topic of a lot of conversation recently. Previously, it was speculated that he was going to be joining AEW in the near future, but then, of course, the Dark Side of the Ring episode aired last Thursday, documenting the plane ride from how, of course, Ric Flair had some allegations made towards him during that show, and there's been lots of people talking about the Nature Boy on social media. Now, wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer believes that AEW could find themselves in very hot water if they do end up signing WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair amid his recent allegations. Now, during the latest episode of the Wrestling Observer radio show, Meltzer stated that Tony Khan might not bring in the Nature Boy, even though the former WWE star is hanging out with AEW wrestlers backstage. He added that Flair might face backlash from fans if he doesn't comment on the controversy that transpired from 2002. This is what Meltzer had to say, quote, "I cannot see AEW bringing him in now. I mean, down the line, he's Ric Flair, and he's going to have to talk about this. I mean, that's the reality. He's going to defend himself, or he's going to have to say something or whatever. Because in this environment and everything, if he says nothing, I don't think people will forgive him. I don't see, again, like I know he's a big star and everything, I think that bringing him in would not be a good thing for AEW. I know he's been hanging around, and there's hanging around and everybody, you know, he's Ric Flair and all that. But I mean, as far as, you know, future and whatever, I mean, he has to handle this in some form." By the way, Dave Meltzer, reading the Dave Meltzer transcription is unbelievably hard. Unbelievably hard. But, you know, to be serious here, obviously, those allegations are serious, and it's a strange it's a strange situation right now because, again, I'm like everyone else. I'm horrified. I'm horrified by these allegations, and I'm horrified by that whole episode. It was horrible. And Tommy Dreamer's comments were horrible, and I know he's responded to them. We'll cover those in the Impact Wrestling News video we do later today. But, you know, it's really tough. It's really tough not to look at all of this and be horrified. Should he join AEW? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And AEW, I don't think will go anywhere near Ric Flair in terms of bringing him into television or anything like that now. Certainly not in the immediate future. That's just not going to happen. And like I said, it's horrifying, and I don't expect AEW to bring him in anytime soon. And I don't think that they can. I do think that Ric Flair probably does have to speak about it. And again, you know, what's strange about it now in retrospect is that, again, people knew this about Ric Flair, and they joked about it and they made light of it. And I think as fans, we're just as guilty because we read and see those videos as well, and we didn't sort of condemn him for that. We just sort of went, "Oh, Ric Flair, that's Ric Flair for you." And now, just once you hear the first-hand recollection of the female involved, the flight stewardess, it just you realize how wrong it all is. And it's horrifying. It's horrifying. And since what's happened, the Ric Flair ad campaign, the Car Shield campaign's been pulled as well, and probably rightfully so. It's just, I don't know. Like, I'm like everyone else. I'm just very disturbed by it all. And like I said, I don't think that AEW will be signing Ric Flair anytime soon, to be honest with you. Let's switch gears and talk about Chavo Guerrero here. Now, despite being written off of AEW television a couple of weeks ago, Chavo Guerrero Jr. is expected to return to All Elite Wrestling, according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. 2 weeks ago, on AEW Rampage, Chavo was written off in storyline after being attacked by Andrade El Idolo, and then later by Pac and the Lucha Brothers. Now, Meltzer noted this was always the plan from the start, because Guerrero is the wrestling coordinator for Young Rock, the NBC show, which is currently filming its second season right now. Once filming is over, he is expected to return to AEW. Guerrero made his AEW debut back in July on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest as the executive consultant for Andrade El Idolo. He replaced Vicky Guerrero. So Chavo is expected to return. I think a lot of people, and this kind of blends into the Flair story, isn't it? I think a lot of people assume that he was written off of television to facilitate Ric Flair coming in. And maybe that was the case. Maybe originally it was a case of, right, Chavo's going to be in for a couple of weeks. He's got to go to do Young Rock. But he's going to be on for a couple of weeks. We're going to write him off of television. Flair's going to come in, and then maybe Chavo joins up with Pac or the Lucha Brothers or someone else later on down the line. Now, given the Flair situation, I would assume that maybe just Guerrero comes back and it's kind of a case of, I learnt my lesson, that kind of situation. So we'll have to keep an eye out for when Guerrero is going to return to AEW. Stephen Amell has confirmed that he's going to be at Dynamite Grand Slam this Wednesday. Heels and the Arrow star, it's not the Arrow, it's Arrow. This report's wrong. Arrow star Stephen Amell says he'll be at this Wednesday's AEW Dynamite Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York. He said, quote, "You're going to see me in some capacity on your television, I believe, on Wednesday the 22nd. I'm going to be at the AEW show at the Arthur Ashe Stadium." Now, he's a friend, of course, of Cody Rhodes. He's made a handful of appearances in WWE, Ring of Honor, and AEW over the years. He wrestled, of course, at All In 2018. He wrestled Christopher Daniels, and he defeated the Fallen Angel. I would assume that maybe he might get involved in the Cody Rhodes-Malachi Black match. I think it would be tremendous if Malachi Black just kicked his head off. But then, I mean, that's a heels guy, right? So I think that would be a lot of fun. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. What we don't need is another Cody Rhodes, like Cody Rhodes, Stephen Amell. You know, two Hollywood stars, right? They're both stars of television. You can already see them doing it. The star of heels versus the star of Rhodes to the Top and the star of the Go Big Show and all this kind of, because Cody Rhodes is a big celebrity, guys. Remember, they always tell you, Cody Rhodes is this big celebrity. He's a big celebrity. You know that, right? He's a big celebrity. He's a big celebrity, right? He's a big celebrity. Ugh. But you can see them going there. You can absolutely see them going there. Speaking of the Grand Slam shows, we have some other matches announced for the show. 3 new matches have been announced for Friday's Grand Slam edition of AEW Rampage from the Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City. It was announced Friday during Rampage that Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley will face Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki in a lights-out match. An 8-man match was also announced with Private Party, The Butcher, and The Blade taking on the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Lucha Brothers, Santana, and Ortiz. And we'll also see Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford on that show. So it's a stacked, I mean, just the whole Grand Slam, whether it's Dynamite or Rampage, is absolutely stacked. The Lights Out match is very exciting, isn't it? Very, very exciting. And I, like many people, am very excited to see Mox and Kingston and Suzuki and Archer just beat the hell out of each other. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be violent. It's going to be tremendous. Both Grand Slam shows are just going to be something else. And I'm very excited. Very, very excited to see them. Finally, there's a bit of an update here. This is an interesting story about the market value of AEW right now. Now, a Stanford sports business professor has reportedly put a market value of $400 million that is, on AEW. It was noted in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that editor Dave Meltzer had talked with a Stanford sports business professor who has followed the AEW product. Now, it must be said, didn't say who this sports professor was, because surely you would say that. But this is what Meltzer had to say, quote, "I had a discussion with a sports business professor at Stanford who has followed the AEW business and put a market value of the product at $400 million right now." So that's interesting. That's certainly very interesting. Again, I would like to have more details on this, but it's good number. So at least you have a number there. But again, I would like to have actually say who it was, but it is what it is. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these AEW news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Got the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.